Hello, and welcome to Rebel Unicorn Crafts. Today I want to try out these Ooly Chroma blends, their neon watercolor set specifically. I was suggested this set by a user on TikTok named Rare Hollow, and so I decided to actually purchase these because they weren't too expensive. I got mine on Amazon for around $10, and it comes in this dried pan set. You get 12 different neon colors. I was a little surprised to see white in there. Wouldn't think of that as neon. The case is plastic, and when you flip it open, those little domes you can actually use to mix up your colors in if you want to. And it does come with a paintbrush. It's one of those kind that I don't like, so I won't be using it, but it is there. My first impressions of this paint were very mixed or kind of mediocre, because while the packaging is nice, it's nothing to write home about, and I've kind of gotten spoiled with some nice packaging, and these look really chalky when they're dry. But we all know that we can't really judge how watercolor looks on its own. You actually have to try it out, and I went ahead and swatched all of these, and they are not chalky. Once you spray them down and start working with them, some of them do move a little bit differently than normal watercolors, but holy moly, the pigments in these are so bright and so neon that you can't even tell based on the video footage I have here. Some of this, I could just tell my brain going, I don't know how to process this brightness. Now, this wasn't for every single color. The blue and the purple and some of the greens didn't have too much vibrancy to them, but in the yellow range and in that pink range, my brain almost short-circuited looking at these for how intensely neon they were. Now, around the time I got to the white one, I started thinking, why would they put white in neon? And then I was starting to think, do they actually mean fluorescent? Not just specifically neon as in a really bright color. Do these colors fluoresce, and is the white going to actually fluoresce under like a black light? I did swatch it like normal, and it didn't perform super well as a white, but that was kind of why I was thinking, compared to the rest of these, why would they put that in there if it wasn't any good or it didn't serve any purpose? So we'll get back to that later. On all of these, I did my normal test where I do kind of one solid swatch, then I try to do a gradient, then I do another solid swatch, and I do two things in there. I lift some pigment out to see how well these lift and to see if they're staining at all. And I also drop some water in there because I want to see what some of those blooming effects are going to happen. The final one, I drop in the pure pigment into a nice wet on wet scenario so that we can see how it moves. I mean, look at that yellow color. It is almost obscenely bright, and in person it's like twice as bright. I don't know how to describe it. These last few yellows and oranges were also super bright, and again, I'm pretty blown away by this. I had mediocre expectations, and even if I'd had high expectations, I think this would have blown me away. I don't know. Either way, one of the things on the packaging that it says is that you can actually use these on black paper because it's bright enough. And I thought, okay, let's try that, because these don't really seem super opaque. There is some opacity to these colors. They're not fully transparent, but I was kind of skeptical because there's not much opacity to these colors. How would these colors show up on black? So I wanted to go ahead and just test that out for myself, and I painted a few little simple things, and you can see that these are bright enough to show up to some degree on black. It doesn't give you a whole bunch of coverage. There is a novelty factor to these that we'll be getting to, where I don't know if I'd want to paint everything with this, but there's so much potential for adding these fluorescent neon pops of color. I also tested whether it blended, and then this is where I finally got out my little black light and just tested, and look at how much these react under the black light. They shine and they're super bright, and you can even see the one little petal I made on the right. I did that with the white color with a little bit of pink in there, and it's fluorescing. Here are my normal watercolors, and they don't do much of anything. As you can see here, maybe a little something on that orange, but I don't know if that's intentional. But these ones, they just go almost white in some scenarios when you shine the light on them. And it really makes the colors pop out on the black. So this would be if you're really into black lights or you like dark spaces, if you wanted to do almost like a really subtle painting for during normal lighting times, and then when you flip your black light on, bam, so much color, so much light. And this was my favorite little one. I made some strips of just a bunch of the different colors, and I used the white in between some of those, and I think it's so fun to see that they're not there, and then suddenly when I flash this on there, it kind of feels like a little disco party. I don't know. I obviously had fun testing these out, but let's actually break down my rating for these. For the price and value, I'm going to give these an 8 out of 10. These range from about $10 to $15 depending on where you buy them, and I think that's a pretty good value for the number of colors you get, but there's a couple points knocked off because you're not going to use these colors as much as you would use other colors. Quality, I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. These were really good quality. I think the packaging could be a little nicer, or that brush could be a little nicer. As far as accessibility, you can buy these either from their website. I got mine on Amazon, and it looks like they're also available on Michaels. So that makes them pretty accessible, and I'm going to give them 8 out of 10 for that. As far as the uniqueness or wow factor, they're definitely getting a 10. I've never seen watercolors this bright or neon or fluorescent, and wow. Usability, they're going to get a 9 out of 10 because they're easy to use. I'm just going to knock 1 point off because you might not have that many use cases for them. That gives these a rating of 8.6 out of 10, and if you have the budget for another $10 or $15 art supply and want something a little bit fun, I definitely recommend these. But you do want to make sure that you're being realistic about what you can actually paint with them because it is a pretty limited color range for creating a lot of different things. Let me know in the comments if you've tried these out before and what you thought about them. Were you as blown away as I was? Can your eyes even handle how bright they were? If you want to see more testing videos where I test out different variables for fluid painting, want to see any watercolor tutorials, or some other art supply testing, subscribe to my channel. Or if you just want to see some of the art that I create, it's really varied. You can follow me either at Lacey Walker Art or at Rebel Unicorn Crafts on Instagram, or Rebel Unicorn Crafts on TikTok, where I make some funny videos as well as some tool talk videos. And I hope that you have a magically creative day.